What's up guys, I'm Dave with BettorOff. In this video, I'm going to explain and teach you the very basics of sports betting.
I want to teach calculus.
It is nothing like calculus. Ready, set, bet. Let's get ready to gamble! Sports betting has become legal in so many states that in 2021, it was already an industry worth over $2 billion. It's easy to get caught up in the hysteria and chasing for a piece of that pie. It's also easy to be overwhelmed with all the different types of wagers you can make, and even easier to go bust if you don't know what you're doing. In these Sports Betting 101 videos, I'm going to teach you everything from the basics all the way up to the advanced topics that any seasoned pro would know. In fact, there's going to be a variety of content that I put out on this channel, so subscribe and tap the bell if you'd like to be notified about future content. For some of you watching this video, this is going to be some super basic information, so whether you learn something new or maybe I could just make you chuckle a little bit, please show your support by tapping on that like button. Let's do this. Let's start by talking about favorites and underdogs. Sportsbooks employ odds makers and statisticians to determine the probability that a team or a person has of beating their opponent in any given contest. Sometimes you have lopsided matchups. Odds makers will adjust accordingly. Let's say Mr. Sandman here is set to square off against Old Glass Joe. Odds makers decide to make Mr. Sandman a 13-1 favorite, which means if you want to bet on Mr. Sandman, you gotta bet $13 just to profit $1.
Here, $1.
A sportsbook will have that listed at minus 1300. That number is called the money line. More on that in just a bit. This makes Glass Joe our underdog, and his odds are set at plus 700. Which means that if you want to bet on Glass Joe and he actually wins, you're going to profit $7 for every dollar that you bet. Now this is a crazy, unrealistic example. Most people would be too scared to bet on Glass Joe, and scared money don't make money. So let's use something a bit more realistic that's recently happened in the NFL. In the last week of the NFL season, the Indianapolis Colts were heavy favorites to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. All the Colts had to do was win the game and they're in the playoffs.
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure! We've come too far! There's too much to lose! We've got to keep our composure!
The Jags are one of the worst franchises in the league, and you can imagine they were heavy underdogs. Really nothing at stake here if they win this game. In fact, they were probably better off losing for a better draft pick. Anyways, before the game kicked off, oddsmakers had the money lines as you can see here. Colts minus 900, Jaguars plus 700. If you wanted to bet the Colts straight up to win, you needed to risk $9 just to win $1. And betting the Jags, well, you could have bet $1 to win $7. Well, lo and behold, the Colts choked and the Jags prevailed. Had you bet $100 on the Jaguars to win straight up, you would have turned a $700 profit plus your original $100 wager. Now that we've established what a money line is, let's talk about spreads. The Tennessee Titans were recently heavy favorites to win against the Houston Texans. The money line on the Titans was minus 580 and plus 490 on the Texans. The spread is the great equalizer that odds makers use to level the playing field and make a match closer to a 50-50 proposition.
Now we're talking.
This is when you're betting on the margin of victory. In this case, the Titans were favored by 11 points, which means if you wanted to bet on the Titans using the spread, they would need to win by 12 points or more when the game finished. And if they covered that spread and you bet $100, most sportsbooks would pay out about $90, plus your original $100 back. You may be wondering why it's not an even $100 profit. I'll be talking about that more in a future video. Now as for that game, you'd have probably been feeling pretty good about your bet at halftime when the Titans were winning 21-0, at which point they were covering the spread. But it's not about how you start, it's how you finish, and the Texans had a strong second half to make it a close ball game in the end. Titans still hung on for the win, but they didn't cover the spread. Final score, 28-25. In this example, had you bet on the Titans, you'd have lost because they only won by 3 points and did not cover that 11-point spread. Next, we're going to talk about totals. The Steelers and Chiefs recently played. Prior to kickoff, the Chiefs were heavy favorites on the money line and the spread was 12. The total was at 46. Odds makers give you the option to bet on the combined total score of a game. You can wager that the combined score will go over or under the total that they have listed. In this case, it doesn't matter who wins the game. You're either just hoping for a lot of points or great defense.
I don't want them to gain another yard.
In this example, let's say you bet $100 on the combined total score for this game to go over 46. If both offenses muster enough points, the sportsbook is going to pay about $90, plus the original $100 you wagered. Now for the actual game, the Chiefs offense put on a clinic and scored 42 points and almost single-handedly made the total go over by themselves. Fortunately, the Steelers defense scored as well, and Big Ben chipped in a couple touchdowns as a parting gift. Thanks, big guy. Final score, 42-21. This adds up to 63 points, and as you can see, it goes well over the total that odds makers listed. If you had the over, winner winner, chicken dinner. With BettorOff, you can get first-hand experience with everything that I just showed you. So download the app today to test the waters and see how well you would do against a real sportsbook. It's free and serves as an open sandbox so that you're not putting any of your hard-earned money at risk. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like button to show your support. And if you have any sports betting topics you'd like me to cover in future videos, please leave me a comment in the section down below. I will be back very soon with Volume 2, so make sure you subscribe and tap the bell. Until next time, best of luck banging on the books.